I'm thinking about, now that I got the motor running surprisingly well with the spare set of carburetors that I had on it, I'm just gonna swap the caps, and hell, I guess I'll have a nice looking choke on this bitch. I'll be parting out the other carburetors if anybody wants them. I'm not sure what the fuck's wrong with them. I don't know if it's like a passage that I didn't find. I took everything out, the emulsion tubes and everything. I blew everything out. But it seems to just want to starve that side. And like this, I think it was this one right here, wouldn't fill up. Like, you see how the levels in that, I don't know how easy it is to see, the levels are like right, I mean they're slightly above here, but that's just because there's a tube, but that means that they're filled up like evenly. The one was way low on those carbs, so it's just not sucking in enough gas, and it was starving and popping and shit. So those carbs are fucked. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. But I know that I'm going to have a little bit of room underneath the seat here to have this thing, boop, I'll just, have something to keep it nice and flat. My seat, it's going to look weird, but man, maybe not even that weird. We'll see. Here, I'll show you. This is the seat that I got. It's like from China, whatever. It was only $30, so I'm like, fuck it, can't go wrong, They're all going to be universal seats anyway. And the big kicker is that, get better light. The big thing I don't like about it is that, well, it looks great. It would be great if it was completely fucking flat. But I can't do that because I want this fender to be on here. And I want this fender to be on here. Because if you're kicking mud on a bike, it flies right up your asshole. And if you've ever been riding in the rain on a cafe racer and just had your back soaked, it's not fun. So I need to get it mounted like this and not pressed down. These little tabs here were used, I believe, for nothing. And there's also even these little holes in here. If you see on the stock bike, they're used for nothing. I might put the turn signals down there, I don't know. These are here where our turn signals go also, but I can always put something else in there. Maybe some saddlebags or whatever, but I digress. I should be able to fit this on here fine. That's an awesome grabber bar. It holds the tail light. Stock tail lights are great. They're nice and bright, and it's big. I don't give a fuck. This is a half between a new and an old bike. And these pipes don't even go with the thought of a scrambler, but they're nice, they're loud, and they're free because they came with the bike. So they work. But what I'm doing here is, if I want this to get, you see, it's just not straight. That's my argument that I don't like about it, but I can't fight that. But if I hang out there for a little bit. If I do this, however, cardboard cutout, don't you love it? Do something like this, where I get that right there. I can put a little bumper right there. The seat will literally bolt onto this pan, and then I will make a peg, and you got two easy accessible bolts, and that's all that you need to hold that seat down. I can make little bumpers underneath it to actually make it stable so it holds your ass and doesn't fuck things up. And you have a little bit of room in here for some spare electronics, and you will hide it. See, you will not see it. So if this is black, yeah, the brown line of the seat, you'll see it, but it will be kind of invisible. That's sort of my theory. And this space right here, the taillight bolts right into that, and it's flush right here. I can make something that bends and goes over this here too. So I can cover that up later if I feel like it. And then you'll have a great spot for strapping down your backpack or your sleeping bag, or I don't know, you might even be able to set a bitch back there if you wanted to. I mean, the seat's big enough to have one anyway, but she'll shove her crotch into the back of the seat and, you know, have a little grabber bar to hold on to. Grabber bar. It bolts right in, like serious bolts right there, and it goes right into the shock. So I can't deny the functionality of having something like this on there. So I work for a sign company, and I was fortunate enough to come into contact with a giant piece of shit that they were replacing with dye bond. And remarkably, the piece that they were replacing was aluminum. And that's nice because it's like 1/8 of an inch thick. That's, or maybe a little more than 1/8 of an inch, or a little less than 1/8 of an inch, I mean, but it's more than a 1/16. I don't fucking have anything to, yeah, that, can't measure that. Okay, so it's a 1/16. But it's really fucking strong, and it's only a little bent up at the bottom. I think somebody hit it with a snowplow, and then this side right here faded, and they were fucking pissed. It had some plexiglass glued to the side of it or whatever. But this fucking side, I'll just fucking paint it. I'm just bashing off some of this shit. That fucking crap off of there. Oh yeah! Destruction! I hate fucking signs like that. It was a giant tree. It was that stupid ass tree. Just glued that bitch on there. Uniland. Yeah. Thanks, Uniland. And so I got the template, and I only got to do like 4 bends on it. Bend, bend, tab. It's got to be about that long, and it should work out pretty good. I'm hoping. And I'm not going to show like the whole process of making it, but this is what I do when I'm trying to figure out how to mount a fucking seat on there. Because this thing comes with, oh gosh, where the fuck are they? Too much junk. Here it is. They give you this, and they think you're going to be able to mount a fucking seat on it with that. They say put this into the front, and you know that's maybe. It almost looks like that would actually work. I'll consider it. But that's shite, you know, to me. And this right here, which is supposed to go on like this. And there are no horizontal bolts. Where the fuck was it supposed to go? Unless I welded brackets on. So this is my way of not fucking up my frame. I still got tabs on here for... I'm planning on covering up these sides right here. I'll do the same bending thing that I've done before, like for the oil cooler. And I'm thinking, rest on there, go through here, bolt onto there, and then that right there is pretty solid. You know, bolt, so, and it'll just be like a triangle with hard edges bent into there. I think that right there will look pretty nice. This isn't going to be like Primo Cafe or whatever, but fuck, I've got aluminum. I got all that aluminum. Same deal here. Sit on a tab, go straight across. I can bend that under if I have to, and I can bend into a tab somewhere else and bolt on, or I could just bolt right onto the reservoir, you know, when it holds the reservoir on there, because there's not going to be anything here that's important. You know, I mean, that I have to change like fuses or whatever, because the fuses are right on top. So it'll just be 2 bolts, boop, boop, seat off, and you're right at your fuses. I think that's great. And everything in here is protected. Water and junk, you know. I can seal that off if I want to later, maybe when I strap the battery box on. But I don't think lines... I know, like body lines, you want it really straight, but this isn't a cafe racer anyway. And that little swoop, it's pretty cool. Fenders are just awesome, you know. I wrinkle coated the inside of that, so that's really fucking nice. License plate, perfect. I can't complain, you know. And the motor runs. Yay. Okay, moving on. See you guys later. So I got my bracket made, or my seat pan or whatever. It may look a little high, but there's a rubber underneath it, so that when you sit on it, it'll push down just a little bit. And this irregularity here is actually because my seat wasn't quite wrapped perfectly. What do you want for $30? Shit comes from China. So there's underneath here, it's just this mount and that mount. Underneath here, two of the rubbers that it came with underneath the seat. It came with three. It was down in there, and I put a piece of metal on two of them, and it went out crooked, but it stops it from moving. So these two are the only thing that's really holding it to the pan, but your ass is putting weight down on it. So it's not going to go anywhere. You could like lift up on this, but that's not a big deal. And I don't even need to paint it, but it looks like shit. So I'm going to paint it black. And we're moving on to... Man, what is next? I guess I gotta get the swing arm on. I'm holding off on the swing arm because I want tires, but I'll get the drive shaft in and the swing arm, and I'm waiting for handlebars. So I'm waiting to put the triple on. I guess I could just put the triple on, get the gauges and the headlight on. But I got a seat. Oh yeah, it was this little rubber here that actually it's supposed to go underneath it, and I just like cut the part that like wedged into there, and so that's what it's sitting on. So that way it's not fucking anything up at all. And it never really touches this. Maybe it touched there a little bit, but it's all good. Alright.